Hi, everyone. I'm Latasha Holt, author of Revisiting John Dewey, applying what he said 100 years ago to today's need. I'm super excited to give a sneak peek of chapter 1. The book is about to officially launch, and I can't wait for everyone to get it and read it. So I'm going to start with a sneak peek. So, chapter 1 is one of my favorites, and it's titled The Purpose of School. Just like the other chapters, each one starts out with a quote from John Dewey. So the quote is, "The school must represent present life." John Dewey. Let's skip down a little bit. Schools in Dewey's vision were more than just places students would receive subject-specific content knowledge. School systems should not be thought of as a separate part of society. The needs of society and ensuring the students develop subject-specific content knowledge must be recognized as one and the same. Dewey believed that schools are primarily social institutions. Dewey explained that our schools must represent the present life. Schools should be real life and hold important value to the needs of students. The way the school is structured and functions should align with the lives carried on in the home, in the community, or on the playground. He explained that these social institutions were critical to the longevity of democracy and the only way to truly teach subject-specific content knowledge. The idea of schools functioning as a place for social growth brings about so many questions to think about. Schools should not restrict the social parts of development to meet hundreds of subject-specific content standards, but that's what's happening. Schools cover hundreds of content standards each year. There are standards for math, reading, science, writing, social studies, and more. These standards are taught and assessed in classrooms, in district modules, and on state standardized tests. We must decide if today's schools are structured in ways that serve the social growth for children. If they're not structured for social growth, how can we make changes? It is possible that there is a lack of shared understanding of just how important social development is in today's schools. Perhaps this is why we have a foundational problem with education needing to be addressed. If the purpose of school is to serve as a meeting ground of students where social needs lead the way, real-world knowledge is obtained, subject-specific content information is developed, and democracy lives on, then why do we continue to waste so much time working in the wrong direction? Who is John Dewey? Is the next section. You might be wondering who John Dewey was. John Dewey remains widely accepted as one of the greatest educational philosophers of all time. Dewey spent his entire adult life thinking about philosophy, education, and our society. He spent his days writing and lecturing about his educational discoveries. Having lived from the Civil War to the Cold War, he saw great changes in the world unfold. His life gave lots of societal changes to think about. Dewey wrote 37 books and published 766 articles and 151 journals. He taught for nearly 40 years at universities in Michigan, Minnesota, Chicago, and at Columbia in New York. Dewey was internationally known for both his work in philosophy and education. He traveled internationally to African, Asian, and European countries where he extended his educational influence. He even had a lab school. As shared, Dewey was passionate about society, so he advocated for the rights of women, children, and diverse people. He spoke out about war, economics, and schooling. Dewey believed that democracy is more than a form of government, it is a form of society. Because Dewey spoke of difficult issues like discrimination, war, equality, and politics, his work became a target for criticism. His beliefs about schooling were criticized for being too free and out of proper order. Despite his work being criticized at times, Dewey patiently defended himself. He reminded his educational followers that students should not be allowed to do whatever they please. Planning and organization must accompany freedom. Teachers should be guides of social thinking needs and subject matter experts. According to Dewey, children should be given authentic opportunities to grow their subject-specific content knowledge with a purposeful connection to their own lives. After all, students' own individual lives are part of the larger community. If school systems are purposeful, they can serve as the pipeline of knowledgeable young citizens that will grow up and lead in the functioning society to which they belong. Authentic opportunities to gain knowledge come by ways of making connections to real life. This looks different than what we see in today's schools. Think about real life. Whether real life be an appointment at the doctor's office, a dinner party, shopping, or traveling, True opportunities in real situations are where education begins to happen. Schools, at their best, are fake simulations that seem boring and unimportant. If the students we are teaching are bored and have no care to learn, we are stuck, period. Our schools are not living up to their societal purpose, and we need change. It's just the beginning of so many more amazing topics that I want to share with you. Again, it's a great chapter.